Good morning, everyone, and welcome to Great Day Houston. If you've lived here for a while, then you know at one point Houston was not necessarily a destination point outside of a place to live and to work. Planning and purpose paid off. Houston was named one of the best cities in the country for conventions, events, and conferences by U.S. News and World Report. In sports, we've hosted Super Bowls, Final Four games, and most recently FIFA World Cup matches. We're landing more unique events as well. Last year, DreamCon made the move from Austin to Houston. It features gaming, anime, comics, film, music, and pop culture. For 3 days, you can enjoy live competitions, panel discussions, cosplay, and celebrity guests. Joining us with a preview are Kendall King with DreamCon and gaming host Supreme Sensei. Good morning.
Good morning.
Oh, welcome to Houston, I should say. This is your second year here.
Yeah.
All right, let's start with how this whole thing came about, because all these cons with anime and you know, cartoons, all these different things, I think a lot of times people will love it and they think they're the only ones who are loving it.
Yes.
And then all of a sudden you realize there is a community, which is how these cons or conventions start.
Yep.
RDC World, tell me what that was and how y'all realized it wasn't just a few people who were loving this.
Yeah, so RDC World is a collective that started years and years ago, maybe like 2012. It started with
I love when young people say years and years ago, like 2012. It was 1910.
No, four score. But yeah, so they started doing skits specifically around like the fact that they were you know, black and that they loved anime, they loved, you know, comics, which at that time was not really accepted as it is today.
Yeah, because certain communities it was all accepted, but then and so you came together and friends made anime parodies on YouTube, and that's when you knew you had a community.
So honestly, I'm not even part of RDC. I was originally just one of the people who enjoyed their content and the work that they did,
and made a way for them to promote that.
Exactly. And so for me, I just happened upon DreamCon. They started in about 2018 when they realized, you know, from one, they're from Waco, Texas. The original founders of RDC, and they realized they didn't have a place like that in Waco, Texas. Not to mention they were trying to go to other conventions, and they weren't really getting the the respect or the look, like to or the
welcome
invite.
As part of it,
And so they were like, you know what? Why don't we just do it ourselves and bring it to our hometown and figure that out? And so that's where it started. About 600 people back in 2018, and then obviously it just
because in fact you outgrew Austin. It was one of the reasons why you moved to Houston.
Yeah, so we've every other year we kind of move somewhere. So 2018, first 2 years was Waco. Next two were Arlington. The next two were Austin, and now we're in Houston.
Here in Houston. All right. And people, do not underestimate what this does for a community. I mentioned earlier how Houston's one of the top places for so many different things. That brings money to town.
Yes.
You had a 28% attendance growth after the move to Houston. What kind of economic impact did you have last year?
Last year we estimated, and these are using old numbers from the Texas reporting, like how much a person coming in from out of state, how much they usually spend. But we estimated about $19 million last year.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. Wow. Yeah, she's like, oh my gosh. All right. Yeah. And $100,000, over $100,000 was raised for charity. So we thank you for that as well. Okay. So you're expecting this to be the biggest one yet?
Yes. Expecting it to be the biggest one yet. Last year we roughly had around 34,000 people. This year we're looking to get maybe closer to 40, but tickets are still, open, so more people can come.
What brought you into this, the very beginning of your starting this?
I'm actually a host, so I started just hosting the gaming tournaments at DreamCon. So that's really what brought me in. I do this all the time, and so they were like, hey, you want to host alongside my now husband, Keats, and so we hosted. That was 2023 was my first ever, and that was my first DreamCon. Yeah. So imagine going to this convention.
Were you a gamer to begin with?
Okay. I've been gaming, a cosplay, anime, I'm a streamer, a content creator, all those things. So it was already something that I wanted to do, but I was like, I didn't get the experience as, an attendee.
And what's really cool about this is that when you think about gaming and, just jobs in gaming, you think it's that, the coding part, the competition playing part. You're hosting.
There's so many, there's so many different avenues.
All right, this is, I mentioned, the biggest DreamCon yet, all kinds of things. This weekend at the George R. Brown, 35,000 people that you're expecting. You have all kinds of celebrity appearances.
Yes. This year we have Issa Rae coming, who is honestly like a shining example of where it goes from starting on YouTube or starting there and like getting into Hollywood and taking it to the next level.
Yeah, because she's a writer as well,
yes,
producer, whole bit, actress.
All of it.
Yeah.
And so we have she's coming in on Sunday specifically to do a fireside chat. We also have the Power Rangers, which that was a really big thing for me. I'm a huge Power Ranger fan, and I honestly kind of pushed it through. But essentially, we have six or seven Power Rangers who span the whole 30-year franchise. The literal first one of the first Power Rangers on the show all the way to the last one, one of the last ones, as well as like the movie iterations and everything.
Voice acting legends as well,
Yes,
Cree Summer and
Cree
Phil
Summer,
Lamar.
yep,
All right, and then there's opportunities for the people who are going to be there. Live voice acting talent search.
Yes, so that is something we're doing with Carl Jones and Love Jones of Martian Blueberry. Carl Jones is also a very famous voice actor as well, and so what they're doing, they had the concept of doing a search for the next voice actor talent, and so that's where we did taping. People sent in submissions. We're going to do live auditions on.
We've interviewed several people who are known, like the one who does Master Chief, for example.
Yeah.
They said the great thing about it is that you can be world famous, but still go anywhere and not be bothered,
exactly.
right? Yeah, but also a Music Star Search winner. It can open the Touchgrass Music Festival, and of course gaming, and of course that's what you're talking about there. All right, when you are there, by the way, you have a couple of other monikers, AKA Mother or Godmother in gaming as well. Founder of the Island Creator Community, and you support and mentor emerging digital creators as well. So not just in gaming, but the whole digital world.
Yeah, just all over. Like there's tons, like I said, there's tons of avenues.
Yeah, you work for brands like Nike, Fortnite, Mountain Dew. So did you want to do this your entire life? Because I think when you say, what do you want to do when you grow up? This one didn't exist. Digital did not exist when I was a kid. We could never say gaming would mean like you're playing basketball or softball at the park, right?
Yeah, the term has definitely changed, but I moved to Atlanta. I'm from DC. I moved to Atlanta in 2021, and I started working for a company, and we had the HBCU Esports League, literally an esports league for HBCU students. And I was just a creative director for the company, but I had a good energy, and they was like, go ahead, get on the couch.
Yeah,
and I've been on the couch for 5 years now, just doing that. So.
There's some money to be made at this weekend.
I have seen.
Even this weekend, there's some money to be made, right? Some prize money?
Absolutely. So that's like, so I'm the CFO of DreamCon, and so all of the,
you know the
and
money
the head
part.
of yes, exactly. So during the weekend, we have several different competitions, specifically in gaming, where we have over $36,000 worth of like prizes, which is not new to us. We do like these types of prizes year after year. Not to mention the opportunities that exist as well to make more money, to have more relationships and everything beyond DreamCon.
I've been to a number of these events. It's funny because people, when you're playing at home, you think you're the best player. In fact, you're wondering why they're not knocking on your door asking you to go. And then you get out there and you're with the best players, and you realize you got a little more work to do, or you maybe need to go back to the crossword puzzle. Tell me about the atmosphere, because when you get there, either whether you're watching or playing, it becomes really exciting and fun.
Yes, so actually last year I was on the competitive side.
Ooh.
I competed in our All-Star Call of Duty tournament we did, and it was crazy to be on that stage playing and also just being in the crowd. Gaming tournaments, like if you've ever been to one, you need to come to one. You should come to DreamCon and see like the energy. People are yelling on for one side, and so we get people who are coming to play, and also you have your all-stars, like people in RDC are going to be competing for Marvel Rivals and things like that. So
what do you have to say to a parent whose child's come to them and said, I think I'm going to go into gaming? Like, that's nice, honey, and medical school too?
Yeah, so it's shifting. I think the new parents, like I have a baby now.
Yeah.
The new parents.
Okay, cue the baby in. Cue the baby in.
I have a baby now. I am actually mother, and we are raising our children. Thanks, Daddy. This is my husband. So we're raising our children to know that this is an opportunity. So for me, hosting things like DreamCon, HBC Sports League, I've seen people, children, walk away with, I'm talking about close to $50,000 themselves, alone, and playing things like Call of Duty, Marvel Rivals, Tekken, and things like that.
Wow.
Yeah, there's a lot of money. I've seen students like be able to pay their, student loans and buy cars.
Well, it's interesting when you start looking in colleges right now that there are some majors, even like whether it's through the engineering departments or whatever, that feature gaming and coding and the whole bit.
Yeah, Steam is now including that, and then specifically at DreamCon, because that was one of the big things that we we had identified, and that's why we created a kid zone specifically this year.
There's going to be a lot of stuff. Yeah,
Yeah.
you have a handcrafted cosplay runway competition, kid zone, poetry slam, pickleball, tactical laser tag, activities for gamers, anime fans, every experience designed to open the door for someone. Thank you two very much, you three. Thank you very much for joining us. Okay, DreamCon is happening this Friday through Sunday at the George R. Brown. For a link to buy tickets, visit greatdayhouston.com.